I'd like to call the Winterville Town Council meeting to order tonight, Monday, June the 12th, 2023. Our invocation tonight will be given by Dr. Brandy Harrell, and after the invocation, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Harrell.
Let us all stand. Father God, thank you for this day, a day that we have never seen before. God, thank you for the protection and provisions that you have made for the citizens of this town. Continue to lead us as a council and provide wisdom and moral standards. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Everybody could face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Dr. Harrell. And again, I'd like to welcome everyone to our town council meeting. My name is Ricky Hines, and we're glad to have a nice crowd out in the audience tonight, and hopefully some people are watching. We got some really good items tonight. So with that being said, Madam Manager, is any updates?
Don't think there are any changes, Mayor.
Okay. So without any changes, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
I second.
Okay. Got a motion by Councilwoman Dr. Harrell, second by Councilman Moy. Any discussion? Had any discussions? Vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Likewise, motion carried. Thank you. Okay. Next up, we have some proclamations, and the proclamations will be read by our clerk, Mr. Harvey.
I draw your attention to the proclamations of the Juneteenth, Freedom Day, Flag Day, Tourette Syndrome Awareness Month, and the National League of Cities Small Cities Month. And I am going to read one that's honoring Caleb Gavin Moore. Proclamation honoring Caleb Gavin Moore. Whereas Caleb Gavin Moore, a 12-year-old sixth grade student in the Exceptional Children's Program at H.E. Cox Middle School, was one of 4 swimmers from Pitt County who were selected to represent Pitt County during the 2023 North Carolina Special Olympics Summer Games, June 3rd and 4th. Whereas Caleb competed in the 25-yard backstroke and butterfly swim competition, but unfortunately did not place in those competitions. However, he was determined to bring home a gold medal in the 50-yard freestyle, and he did just that. Whereas Caleb was diagnosed with high-functioning autism at the age of 3, he discovered swimming in elementary school when the Exceptional Children's Program at W.H. Robinson was selected to participate in Biden's PALS program. Whereas once the program ended, Ms. Susan of Biden Rehabilitation continued to assist special needs children in the area of swimming once a week. Caleb attended every week until the pandemic. Caleb also participated in swim programs during his after-school and summer camp programs through the Autism Society Social Recreation Center, where he's been attending since they opened their doors. Whereas Caleb also participated in the 2023 Pitt County Special Olympics Spring Games in April at J.H. Rose High School, where he won first place ribbons in the run, softball throw, and standing long jump. Caleb also participates in the Pitt County bowling and swimming programs. Caleb is also a high red belt in Taekwondo and attends King Tiger Taekwondo here in Pitt County and hopes to earn his deputy black belt this year. Caleb also enjoys roller skating, ice skating, and attending family camps at Victory Junction, and Camp Corral. Now, therefore, the Town Council of Winterville, North Carolina does hereby honor his accomplishments. In witness hereto, I do hereby set my hand and cause the seal of witness to be affixed this 12th day of June, 2023.
Mayor? Can we get Cable to come? Got it.
Oh, man.
Do you know one? Come up here with me. I think it's sharp for you tonight, but. He said, yeah. Well, this is on behalf of the town. Wow. We're very proud of Cable, as well as every other young person here in our town. So what we want to do is start highlighting our youth. I was at a graduation function this weekend that talked about it takes a village. I think we got away from the village to help raising our kids. We need to get back to that. These are our precious commodities here. No other like it. We're so proud of you, Kevin.
Oh, yes.
All right. Thank you, buddy.
All right. That is an honor.
And again, like I was saying out there, so if you have any students or any kids out here that's doing exceptionally well, I'd like to ask Terry and Don if they would kind of look at maybe including them in our letter. Let us look at them and we'll kind of highlight some of our people in our community that's doing excellent.
Absolutely.
You know, I think we need to start cultivating our next leaders here in this town of Winterville. And so what's the best way to do it is to highlight them now. You know, get them out there, get them out front. So, all right. So for the council, hopefully your emails will start blowing up from people sending you stuff about their kids, and we'll kind of look at them and determine what can go into the newsletter along with the staff. I think that would be an excellent idea, you know, to move forward with. Okay? All right, the next thing up is our public hearing. The water shortage response plan. Cliff?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have submitted our water shortage response plan to the state for their approval, and they have done so. So now it comes to you guys to, I'm guessing, adopt. This is something we do every 5 years. Now, I know y'all have probably not seen it before. Anthony and myself are working on some things to get things caught up and moving in the right direction. So this is something you'll see every 5 years. We're required to do it by the state. So you've got everything you need. The plan is spelled out. It just basically covers all the steps that are in place if we were to get in a situation where there's a water shortage. We'd start with GUC and rolls on to us, and we take the proper measures to make sure we can adequately provide water to all our customers. So anyway, I'll answer any questions y'all may have.
Anyone have any questions for Cliff before we open up the public comments?
Thank
If
you very
there is none, we will now officially open up the public comment section. If anyone would like to speak in favor of this, please step to the podium and state your name and address. Okay. If anyone would like to speak in opposition of this, please step to the podium and state your name and address. With there being none, I officially close the public hearing section of this. And what is the pleasure of the board?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the water shortage response plan.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I
Attorney.
just maybe add to that, there's a resolution
Yes, that's
too, so
correct.
we probably need, if the motion would be to adopt the resolution, which adopts the plan.
Also to adopt their resolution.
Thank you.
All right.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion by Councilman Moy and second by Dr. Harrell to adopt the water shortage resolution plan along with the resolution.
Yes.
Any questions? With there being none, all in favor vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carry. Thank you. Thank you, Claire. Anthony. Thank y'all both. All right, next up, we have a public comments.
We do have one.
Okay. All right. Okay, our public comment periods is 30 minutes. 30 minutes is provided opportunity for residents to comment on any items included in the agenda or to address the town council on any matters related to the town of Winterville. For an item included in the public hearing section of the agenda, residents should address the council at the time the mayor invite the public comments on the item. No public comment may be made to the council during the meeting except during the public comment period or part of the public hearing. Individual speakings are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. No more than three speakers may address the council on a single matter. The council may elect to take no action on the matter addressed by the speaker, may schedule the matter for further consideration at a future council meeting, or may refer the matter to the town staff for disposition. Copies of the town public comment periods are available in the rear of the assembly room. And tonight we do have one here, Henry Hofstetter. If you would step to the podium, state your name and address, sir.
Thank you, council, for allowing this time to speak. My name is Henry Hostetler, and up until 2 years ago, I had been a small business owner in the Winterville ETJ, just off of Fire Tower Road, owner of Baywood Racket Club for nearly 25 years. I am speaking on behalf of the tennis community to say thank you for the 2 nice tennis courts that are in Winterville. I can tell you that many tennis players, including my son who works down here at the post office for Winterville, have expressed to me how nice the tennis courts are. We as a tennis community want to be proactive and encourage the council to keep the tennis courts for tennis courts only. There has been a push around the country, as you probably have heard, and I saw in the paper today, Raleigh paper, Durham is happening in Durham right now, to paint pickleball lines and put pickleball nets on tennis courts, or even take the tennis courts away entirely. We want to encourage the council to never consider this or put any other sport on the court. We have nothing against other sports, nor pickleball. In fact, I have played the pickleball game and enjoyed the game. We simply think one sport should not be sacrificed for another. In other words, don't take away tennis. Pickleball and other sports should have separate venues. The Winterville tennis courts are used at different times throughout the day. I went by this morning, people were on the courts. I went by before the meeting tonight, people were on the courts. Programming, of course, will make the tennis courts even more utilized. Just like baseball is programmed, the fields are used through programming. A couple of things on tennis. It is the #1 lifetime sport. Dr. Brian Hainline, the first NCAA medical director, overall sports, stated tennis was the best sport for mind and body for the lifetime. In addition, a Copenhagen study, it was shown that tennis could add 9.7 years to a person's life. And just aside for information for you to know, 3 participants from Pitt County, and including one player who played tennis at ECU, played in the French Open that just ended yesterday. This would be in comparison to having 3 players qualifying in the Masters golf tournament, in case you didn't understand that. I doubt there's another county in the entire country that can make this boast. Not quite 200 players from around the world are able to qualify to play this event. The ECU player actually lost in the finals of the doubles event. In conclusion, I want to say thank you in advance for keeping the 2 Winterville tennis courts just for tennis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hofstadter. Next up is the consent agenda.
Mayor, before we go any further, could I ask a question about the setup of the tennis court?
Yes, sir.
Comparable to pickleball. Pickleball and the design of the court itself, is it the same?
Evan's going to step to the podium.
So generally speaking, a pickleball court is similar to a tennis court, but it's divided in two. So you can basically fit that into 2 courts. Or 2 courts into 1, I'm sorry. It is similar. It is not 100% the same. Mr. Hostetler was referring to, some retrofitting and things. So a lot of times you'll see, if you're going to say retrofit, or not even retrofit, but use an existing tennis court for pickleball, you might throw down temporary lines, you might put down tape lines, you might put down another color line inside of the existing lines. So there are changes, but they are similar in theory, yes.
Yes. But the court itself will be a little different design, like you were saying about the
The court is smaller, the lines are in different places, the net is smaller, et cetera, yes, sir.
Okay.
The ball and the paddle are different,
It's almost
or the
like
paddle, I should say, the bracket.
It's like a wiffle ball type, isn't it?
It's more like table tennis
Right.
and tennis themselves combined.
The cost to design a court like that, cost about the same as a regular tennis court?
I couldn't, I am not comfortable enough with the numbers of that to be able to estimate how comparable that would be. I would guess it's similar, but, I'd hate to say and mislead you.
Could you get that information for us?
I could certainly look into it.
At a later date? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Evan. Yeah. I actually attempted to play pickleball, but attempted. But I wasn't any good, so. Like I attempted to play tennis too, so I realized the racket is not my sport. But anyway, I digress. Okay. Next up is the consent agenda. You have anything on this consent agenda that we need?
No, we just asked that council approve it in
Right,
total.
so,
I move for approval.
I second.
got a motion on the table by Councilwoman Robinson, and second by Councilman Moy to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? If none, all in favor vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, likewise. Motion carry. Old business. We have, Anthony, okay. So it was gonna be- Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Item of old business tonight relates to speed limits on 2 streets in town. We have a resolution that DOT asked us to approve for any changes when we are requesting speed limit changes. This conversation began during our budget workshop, and so we're just kind of following up on that and making sure we provide DOT the proper direction for which the council wants to proceed. We know that there were 2 streets addressed during the budget workshop. The first was Ain Street. That one's pretty clear-cut and understandable. That would drop the speed limit from 30 to 25 from Cooper Street all the way to Laurie Ellis Road. Given the number of driveways and roads that enter there, plus the number of pedestrian crossings and sidewalks, DOT initially did not respond in a negative manner, I'll put it that way, to the conversation, and so this resolution will probably be viewed as favorable. The other street was Mill Street, and this one's a little bit more convoluted, and we feel like Ms. Parker may be able to shed some light on this one a little bit more. She's had conversations with NCDOT about some recent changes, if that's okay.
Sure, absolutely. So initially, if you all will recall, and Anthony, jump in if I miss anything, Councilman Moore was requesting a section through the downtown area be changed to 25 miles an hour. In discussion with staff, some of the folks that have been around a while said that they thought that part of Mill Street may already be 25. So I know Anthony was working with DOT. I reached out to see if we could get clarification on what the actual DOT legal speed limits were from as you enter onto Mill Street from Winterville Parkway, right at Vernon White, all the way through to Laurie Ellis. And we were given that information, and from where the Winterville Rural Fire Department currently sits on Mill Street to Blunt Street is currently 25 miles an hour. There were historically some speed limit signs that said 25 miles an hour. I don't know, and don't know that any of us know throughout the years what happened to those signs. I did ask DOT to re-erect those signs, and I think they've already done that based off of our discussions this morning. And to kind of go along with that, you may see a message board if you've been down Mill Street, but there will be the installation of a four-way stop sign at the intersection of Mill and Laurie Ellis, and that work should be done around June 20th. So unless council deems it necessary to extend a request past the current section that's already 25, keep in mind from the Rural Fire Department headed south to Blunt Street, that is currently 25 miles an hour already. I think that encompasses most of the area of concern with all of the new construction and people walking in and around Mill and Main Streets. But we put that information forward. If you don't deem any additional area needing to be made 25, then we do not need to address the second resolution, which is, I believe, is 23-R-063. If you all are inclined to continue with the Ain Street reduction in speed, then we would ask that you approve resolution 23-R-062.
062.
And Anthony, jump in if I missed that.
You got
Messed
it.
up.
You're good.
Thank you.
Okay, so what is the pleasure of the board?
From the Rural Fire Department on Mill Street to Blunt Street. And Blunt Street is beside Winterville Machine Road, y'all help me, Winterville Machine Works back to the new 11 at Main subdivision.
What's the speed limit? Now that's a thoroughfare, I'll say that because it does go through that development. The speed limit along there is what, 35?
Where?
Residential area?
Where?
From Blunt Street through 11 and Main. The part of Blunt Street that runs
That goes
into
down to 11
and Main.
I'm not sure. I know that speed limits, Anthony brought up today, that we need to have a broader staff discussion about speed limits within subdivisions, because a lot of times you'll see the signs that say 35 unless otherwise posted, and certainly that might be a little fast. So we need to take a look at what's on that extension of Blunt, and we can report back to council. But Anthony did bring that up in staff meeting this morning, and we needed to have a larger conversation about speed limits within subdivisions.
And you also have a unique situation in the Mill and Main area because it'll go from public to private and back to public because that street will transition.
Okay.
Right.
Because the part that they're building will be a private road.
Keep in mind, private, there's no law enforcement enforcement. That was redundant, but they don't enforce the speeding and traffic laws on the private streets.
So is that part built to our standards for streets?
The private section will not be maintained by the town.
I'm saying, is it built to our standards right now?
I'd have to defer to staff.
No, when we did our final walkthrough, that section was not inspected by the town as it was not be deemed a public street,
It's
so.
not required to be built to town standards.
Correct. Now, I think if you talk to the contractor, I think some of the subgrade areas is probably built to the same standard, but I can't speak to that. From a final inspection standpoint, those areas were not, any issues that we found in those areas were not corrected.
Because I can see people using it to get to the end of that street or vice versa to come into town.
I think they'll find it's probably a little more, they may want to, but they may find it's not as fabulous as it may look once people
Start
move
moving
in
over.
there. And it's more, everybody's at home now.
Any more questions?
I don't have a question, just a statement to answer what our pleasure, or I guess my pleasure of the board, for the board, is to not move forward if we already have the speed limit, and also the stop signs, the four-way stop signs will be at Lori Ellis. So I would say that we don't need to move forward with the DOT adoption for that area that's already, 25 miles.
All right.
There's a 35 section, and then it goes to 45. And I think that's in the area, remind me.
Wayne Worthington and Lismore.
Yeah. It goes from the rural fire department north to 35 up to Worthington Road, between Worthington Road and Lismore and Waterford. Then that transitions to 45 to the highway.
As a motion?
Make a motion.
Oh, yes. So I make a motion that we don't move forward with the DOT adoption for the area.
I'll second it.
I had a motion to not adopt Resolution 23R63. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, motion made by Councilwoman Harrell, second by Councilwoman Robinson. Any discussion? If none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried.
How about the other resolution for Ain Street?
I think we're all in agreement that that's needed.
Yes.
So we would just need to approve that resolution.
I move that we approve that resolution
I
for
second.
Ain Street.
I second.
Okay. Have a motion by Councilwoman Robinson, second by Councilwoman Harrell, to approve ordinance number 23R00. Resolution, I'm sorry, resolution.
23R62.
R62, I'm sorry, I stand corrected. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is 23-24 fiscal year budget.
Mayor, members of the council, on behalf of staff who worked really hard this year, as they always do, we present to you the budget ordinance. Come on up, Anthony. For fiscal year 23-24, it doesn't even sound right to say that. With that said, I'll turn it over to Anthony for any words of encouragement.
Sure, just briefly, it's, as you know, last week we had our public hearing on this budget, and so what's presented for adoption tonight is what was presented at the public hearing. There have not been any changes. The total appropriations for this year's 23-24 budget is $29,979,867.
Right there, aren't we?
Yeah, so I mean, a few more $1,000s, we could have got to the 30 million mark.
That's right.
But needless to say, that wasn't our motive. But so ultimately, this just staff is looking for approval of the ordinance.
Move for approval.
Second. I got a motion by Councilwoman Robinson, second by Councilman Paul Rice. Any discussion? With no discussion, all in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carried. Thank you.
Mayor, if I could just thank staff once again, particularly Anthony and Jessica, who did a lot of the specific work, I'll say, to get this thing finalized and ready. But I would also like to thank council for your time and effort in our meetings, workshops, public hearings, et cetera. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all. Great job.
Can we, can I do, I'm always doing something. But anyway, I just wanted to recognize the next generation of Mr. Moore's family that's here with us tonight. His grandson, his son, and his daughter-in-law. They're here tonight, and he sees Granddaddy over there. And I just wanted just to recognize him. I didn't know how long he might be able to stay, and didn't want to let that go behind, get behind.
I've been wanting to meet him so long.
Yes. We were talking about plans of succession and next generation, so.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Oh, my goodness.
Next up, Anthony, you at the podium again.
Yes, tonight, we have for you the street resurfacing project. As you know, the town, this is a formal process. We're using Powell bill funds to pay for this project. And so this was advertised in the Daily Reflector on May 20th, 23, and we received bids on June 6th, 23. We were able to receive 3 bids, Tripp Brothers, Lanier Construction, and Barnhill Construction. The lowest responsible bidder was Tripp Brothers Incorporated. They provided a base bid of $213,993 and an alternate bid for Worthington Street of $5,950, and then a second alternate for Drexel Lane in the amount of $119,989.50. As you may recall, the target areas for this project are Worthington Street and at the railroad intersection, Depot Street, and then again on Railroad Street on south of Main behind the convenience store, and then from between Cooper and Blunt, excuse me, and then Drexel Lane. The Wooten Company is the town's engineer, and they have certified the bid tab, and they were at the bid opening, and have reviewed everything and feel like the bids are adequate. The good thing about this bid is it's done on a per unit basis. So if we determine that there are other areas in town that can use attention, staff will be working to work on that to get a list together, and then, you know, we can use these per unit prices to do additional areas while funds are available. So again, one main point of interest is this is in CSX right away, so that always, you know, makes things a little bit more cumbersome. And so we will be we're ready to go when they tell us we can go. So we have to get their approval, and then once we get that, then we'll get everything lined up and get to work. And I stand by for any questions.
Okay, anyone has any questions for Anthony on this task order 41 here? Oh, I'm sorry. Street surface. I'm done jumped the gun here. Moving along.
But the history that we've been having with CSX, it has been, how can we say this? When
Difficult.
we really need them, sometimes they're a little bit slow about responding. And at this time, I think there is a need for us to have them, and we hoping and praying that they will respond a little bit quicker than what they have had in the past.
Yes, sir. I mean, this is a formal process, so a little bit different than the one that we're trying to use to get the railroad track cleaned up. Those projects and the asphalt and ballast that are piled up. I've been talking to the gentleman for over a year. Stop everybody I can when I see them crossing on the tracks, but.
Yeah, I give Anthony credit. He stops them on the track.
That's good.
So, yeah, just don't let them go until they get it cleaned up. But But yeah, so, but this is a formal process, and so there is going to be some slowness with that, in that. The good part about it is a normal routine process for them, and so it will be slow, but it will not be one that can be, hopefully won't be stymied by one particular person.
Understand the railroad moves at their own speed.
That's right.
And that's
The goal, and don't hold me to this, but clearly the goal is to get it done before school starts back. This is a high-traffic area with a lot of buses and trucks, especially depots with the fire trucks and, emergency service vehicles use that. And we also have the East Coast Metal Distribution over here, as well as the school buses. So trying to get that, that's the highest priority, to get that done before school starts back.
Anthony, I do thank you and staff for doing some temporary patching
They've been working hard, yeah.
of some
I
of
think
those.
Cliff could probably speak to that a
Thank
little bit
y'all.
better, but
Of some of those areas that are just absolutely terrible, but
my car appreciate Depot Street.
yes, we recognize there's a lot of areas, but
I know some patching on Beacon that's been done, one hole left, but all those, I do appreciate them. All of us that drive along that road
yes,
appreciate that.
yes.
Oh, yes. Especially on Worthington.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Thank you.
So we
that's all
need
I have,
we don't
unless
need
y'all have
a
any questions.
We need to.
motion on the resurfacing,
To award the bid to Tripp Brothers.
award the bid, right.
I'd like to make a motion that we award the contract to Tripp Brothers Industry.
Second.
Okay. Have a motion by Councilman Moy and second by Councilwoman Harrell. Any discussion?
None.
What was that bid?
Huh?
What was the amount of that bid?
So,
The amount of the bid, Anthony, was,
so there's a base bid and then
no,
two.
just for Tripp Brothers.
Right.
We just need to know that.
Right, the base bid is $213,993. Alternate one is for a portion of Worthington, that was bid at $5,950, and then alternate two was Drexel Lane at $119,989.
And we're asking to award the base and both alternates. Right.
Correct.
Okay, so you got that? Okay, thank you.
So the total's
So
$339.
that's what I wanted to tell you.
$339,933.
Okay, all right. All right, so we had the motion and the vote. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carry. All right, now on to task order 41.
Now we get a task order 41. Tonight before you, we have the Wooten Company General Services Contract. The Wooten Company is our engineer of record for several years. We use them for everything from working with our planning department to public works to just general consultation on issues that may anywhere from stormwater, water, sewer. So they're pretty important to the operation and function of the town. You'll see that we've been using them a little bit more as of recent, so we've had an increase in the cost of the change order. That's just an attempt to have to come back to everyone for a budget amendment. So we went ahead and increased that amount a little bit to try to get it handled, and there is funds available in the next year's budget for this contract already. The contract is $47,500, which is an increase of $12,500 over prior year.
Move for adoption.
A second.
Motion by Councilwoman Robinson, second by Councilman Moy for the adoption of task order 41 for the Wooten Company. Any discussion? If none, all vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carry. All right, now up to appointments.
Anthony, thank y'all, you and staff. It took a lot of work to get a lot of this stuff together, so thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Get it going. Thank you.
Folks, you'll see, and as we discussed last week, I do have the appointment to Shepherd Memorial Library Board back on the agenda. If you'll recall, the City of Greenville and the Shepherd Memorial Library Board voted to add 2 new seats to their board, and one is for the town of Winterville, for somebody from Winterville to represent on that board. Council previously nominated and approved Mr. Johnny Moy to serve on that board, and the City of Greenville and Shepherd Memorial finally officially adopted those additional seats on May 8th. So just to be sure that we are in proper procedures in terms of time, I'm just asking council to reaffirm the appointment of Mayor Pro Tem Johnny Moy this evening to the Shepherd Memorial Library Board.
Okay.
I make a motion that we appoint Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem Johnny Moy as our town representative to the Shepherd Memorial Library Board. This does not mean that other citizens from Winterville can't apply through the county to be on the board.
That's right.
But that he would be the one that we authorize through this board. Thank you, Paul. Excuse me. I'm talking over.
Got a motion on the floor, Councilwoman Robinson, second by Councilman Rice, to appoint Mayor Pro Tem Johnny Moore to the Shepherd Memorial Library Board. Any discussion? If none, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations, Johnny.
Congratulations again.
Yes.
All right. Next up is Planning and Zoning Board.
Stephen's been waiting all day for this.
I have. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So we have a couple of items for the Board of Adjustment. One is to reappoint existing members. So Brian Miller and Mr. Garrett Killian, both of them are expiring this month. If it's the pleasure of the board, we ask to reappoint them for another 3 more year term.
So, Mr. Killian, you serve on both boards? That's a different one.
It's different. It's actually spelled differently as well.
Okay, I was wondering when I looked at it, but I didn't ask anybody before now, so, excuse me. Okay.
I would like to make a motion that we reappoint that Mr. Killian and Mr. Miller be reappointed on the Board of Adjustment.
I'll second the motion.
Got a motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Moy, second by Councilwoman Robinson, to reappoint Mr. Killian and Mr. Miller back to the Board of Adjustment. Any discussion? If none, all in favor vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next.
And then secondly, for the Board of Adjustment, we had somebody months ago resign from the board, so we have a vacant in-town seat that we would like to fill. We have 4 applications on file. As you see, the first one is listed as his first choice, second one is his third choice, and then all 4 of these applicants are on file, but it does show you the choice of the boards that they selected. So the way our application works is it has all the different boards, and it, asks if you have any type of order that you would like to place your priorities on. If anybody has any additional questions, their applications are also in the packet as well.
Stephen, is this the 3-year term?
It's a 3-year term as well. Yes, it would be expiring in 2026.
It says it right there. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
Give us a minute.
All right.
Are they all still willing to serve? checked with them?
Don has
I believe-
has checked with them, and they
Y'all still
are.
willing to-
Yes.
Mr. Bell is post office guy.
So that's the planning and,
Oh, I'm sorry, Board of Adjustment.
yes, sir.
Board of Adjustment, I'm sorry.
Got four.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Did I go in the wrong order?
Okay.
No, you're good, you're right.
I gave you wrong.
Mr. Johnson, he was requested for his first choice.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson, and I would like to recommend him as a board member, if he would accept. That would be my recommendation.
That's your motion.
That's my motion.
I second.
I missed that.
I'm going to restate the motion.
Devin Johnson. He listed his choice as his number one choice to be on the Board of Adjustment. And I noticed that the other three candidates, one was the third choice, the fourth choice, and the other two were fourth choice.
So we have a
I make a
motion.
motion.
Right, we have a motion on the floor, motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Moy, and second by Councilwoman Robinson, correct? To select Devin Johnson for the Board of Adjustment. Okay? Is there any discussion? With none being said, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Congratulations to Mr. Devin Johnson. Is Mr. Johnson in the audience? No, okay.
Okay, second, we have our Planning and Zoning Board. We recently, actually this past month, had somebody whose work is conflicting with the time of the meeting, so he asked to resign. That opened up a seat that will expire in 2025, is the remainder of his seat. We have 8 applicants on file. The first 4 you will see, they selected Planning and Zoning as their only interest. Planning and Zoning Board is one of the more popular boards for people to want to be on, it seems. The 5th applicant on the list, this was his first choice among others. And as you see, the next 2, this is their second choice, and the last one was their 5th and last choice as a board to be appointed to.
You're looking at Cunningham, had applied in 22. Planning and zoning was first choice for that one.
That's a motion?
I make a motion that we nominate Cunningham. I noticed that application was in 22, and planning and zoning was the first choice for that.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Have a motion on the floor, Councilwoman Robinson, second by Councilman Rice, to nominate Dominique. Nominee. Okay. Cunningham.
Right.
I got the last name right. Any discussion? If none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Welcome, Cunningham.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Stephen.
Next up, Evan.
Good evening again. So I am here to speak to Recreation Advisory Board, kind of like Stephen. We have a few things going on. We have 3 current Recreation Advisory Board members whose terms expire at the end of this month. Those 3 are Victoria Hawkins, John Relford, and Johnny Fleming. Should it be the board of the pleasure, the recommendation of staff is to reappoint them to an additional term.
I'd like to make a motion to reappoint
Current city.
Mr. Fleming and Mr. Rafford and Ms. Hawkins.
And what's the last one? Relaford.
Rutherford. It's Hawkins, Rutherford, and Flemings.
Okay.
That's only for the reappointment.
Yes, sir.
Need a second.
Need a second?
I second it.
All right. Got a motion on the floor from Mayor Pro Tem Moy, second by Councilwoman Robinson, to re-elect Flemings, Hawkins, and Relaford. 3 years?
2-year terms, yes, sir.
2-year terms. 2-year terms, okay. Any discussion? If none, all in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Anybody against it? Motion carry.
All right, so the second step, should it be the board's pleasure or the council's pleasure, is to appoint Ms. Rashana Carmen to a vacant resident position on the Recreation Advisory Board. She is currently serving as an alternate on the Recreation Advisory Board.
Vacant resident,
Yes, ma'am.
2-year.
Yes, ma'am.
And that would put as a permanent member.
Yes, ma'am.
I make the motion that Ms. Carmen be appointed to a resident position on the
Second.
Recreation Board.
A second.
Got a motion by Councilwoman Robinson, second by Councilwoman Harrell, to elect Ms. Carmen to a 2-year position on the board. Correct? Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against? Motion carry. Thank you, Evan.
All right, third part. I'm not done yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And just for clarification, they are 2-year terms for all of the Recreation Advisory Board members. So the third part is we do not have any non-resident ETJ applications on file with RAB interest, Recreation Advisory Board. However, we do have applications on file for residents that have interest on the Recreation Advisory Board, and we do have one additional resident position open after the appointment of Ms. Carmen. So that would, as you can see on your sheet, there are a few applications on file. I think I did misspeak in the couple sentences preceding the list of the individuals. I said that it was their sole or first preference. It was actually their first or second preference. But you see the list on there. I would add that John Powell, Melanie Miller, Stephanie Ham, and Jonathan Powell, those 4 did in fact indicate that it was their sole or first preference to serve on the Recreation Advisory Board. However, I wanted to provide the entire listing.
I'd like to make a motion that we will accept Katrina Jones.
A second.
Got a motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Johnny Moy, second by Councilwoman Robinson, for Ms. Trina Jones, for non-residents, right?
Resident.
Resident, I'm sorry,
Yes, sir.
resident. Any discussion? If none, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
And if against, likewise. Motion carry.
Evan, our non-resident ETJ members have been open for ever.
I'm going to use the term recent memory. We have had one person that served in the non-resident position prior to it being changed to ETJ only. But since that was changed, no, ma'am, we have not had anybody fill one of those 2 seats. Used to be 3 seats, and then that was reduced, I think, last year, maybe.
Ms. Parker, when we advertise, we specifically ask for people in that category, and and also from that ETJ area, we've always had a terribly hard time getting people in planning board too, so it's a tough thing.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Thank you, Evan.
All right. Next up will be our Human Relations Board, and that'll be Terry.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, members of council, what you have at your seats in your packet is an informational sheet that delineates in yellow 3 seats that will need to be appointed. The way the initial bylaws, and you see the section at the top of the page is outlined for you, each council member is responsible for bringing forward a name to fill a seat. So currently, the council members that are responsible for bringing forward names would be Mayor Pro Tem Moy to replace Tiana Hagens, who resigned. Chief Wilhite's seat expires at the end of this month. So Dr. Harrell, Councilwoman Harrell, you are on board for that seat. And then Councilwoman Robertson, as you know, Councilwoman Harrell resigned, so that would be your appointment. In a previous meeting, I believe it was last week, Councilwoman Robertson suggested that we might want to look at amending the bylaws to put in a nomination of folks that is synonymous with our other boards, and that would be basically taking applications and doing what you've just done on the other boards. And I'm happy to work on that if council would like to see that change as a whole. But as it stands and to move forward with these particular vacancies, you can see who's responsible for bringing forward names. So I just wanted to, number one, let you know how many seats we need to fill. And then number two, find out from council if you want to change the bylaws of the Human Relations Board in terms of appointments to mimic the Planning and Zoning, Board of Adjustment, and Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
Why, I'm in recommendation to change it like the rest of the boards. That's just my 2 cents. I think we'll have better response. Don, I know you get a lot of inquiries. Will you think that will help?
I was going to say, there are a number, even if we take off some of the ones that were put on boards tonight, that have submitted and put the Human Relations Board as one of theirs.
Sure.
And I don't have those here right now for you, but and I think if we move forward, I can get those distributed to council prior to the next meeting, so that they would have those. And if you have other people that might be interested, they'll contact me, or they can go on the website and get an application and submit it.
Okay.
That's fine, but keep in mind, to move forward with filling these 3 seats, the 3 council members have been notified
Right.
of their responsibility,
Okay.
assuming they desire to try to fill the process before the council changes the
Okay.
bylaws.
And if it's somebody that we're interested in getting up there, this is a public meeting, so they can come and sit in on the meeting prior to their appointment. If they wanted to, sometimes people want to know kind of what's going on before they accept it, if they want to do that.
And also, I did recommend that Ms. Katrina Jones be a candidate for the recreation. And I noticed on her applicant that she has the Human Relationship Board as her number 1 choice, and then the Recreation and Park Advisory Board. But,
That's
you
fine.
know,
She can serve on- she can
going
serve
back,
on-
going back to what we was talking about, what we were saying a few minutes ago, I think, from this day forward, I think that we probably need to put everything back to what this right here is, to let them apply. And then, and then we can see, and then give them opportunity to say, this is my first choice, second choice, third choice, and then we have a good feel, and I think that would be a good thing to do.
Well, can we get a vote on that, Mayor?
I think so.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, could get can I get a motion?
I make a motion that we will appoint people to the Human Relations Board in the same manner as we do the other boards that are volunteer boards in Winterville.
Yes. After, you talking about after this, after we fill this term out?
Well, I think we want to do these right now, but.
It's up to council. I mean, it's up to council, but in order to, you have to do it under a changed set of bylaws, you have to wait till August.
Right.
So,
But we could, if it's someone that we're thinking about that might be interested, I don't know if we're gonna have a meeting in July or not. We haven't been able to have a meeting because we haven't been able to get a quorum.
Having a quorum, right.
So therefore, but, as of, say, September, because it would take us till September, so that would go into effect in September.
or if you know someone that has an interest, let me know, because the opening that we do have is one of the vacancy that need to be filled, that in the spot that I'm supposed to recommend.
You and me,
You and
me.
And-
Okay,
And
And-
Councilwoman Harrell.
Harrell.
and Harrell too. So I think, well,
Well,
I'm gonna go ahead and second your motion.
okay.
Okay,
All right.
Okay?
Restate your motion, Ms. Robinson.
okay. I make a motion that as of September 2023, that we will make appointments to the Human Relations Board in the same manner as as the other volunteer boards here in Winterville.
All right,
Get it right?
got it.
And Moore was second.
Right, gotcha. The motion is on the floor by Councilwoman Robinson, second by Mayor Pro Tem Moy, that we appoint, starting September 2023, the Human Relations Board members as we do the current rest of the boards.
Yes.
Okay? All right, any discussion? With none being said, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, members of the council, as a point of clarification, I'll bring that change in the bylaws back to you in August for a vote.
Right.
Even though it takes
Right.
place in
Right.
September, just so we're good from a timing perspective.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, next up, would that be the chief or school resource officer agreement with Pitt County Schools? Doing your swan song?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. You have before you the 2023-2024 contract between Town of Winterville and Pitt County Schools, which basically continues to pay for our school resource officers at W.H. Robinson, A.G. Cox, and Creekside. Nothing that myself or the town attorney could find is different in that contract except for the amount of money that Pitt County Schools will pay, and that's to reflect any changes in salaries and benefits for this fiscal year.
Mr. Attorney, everything looks okay?
Yes, sir. I've looked at the proposed contract, compared it to last year's contract. The chief and I did speak today. I don't see any difference, other than this one just does nail down, for the full year, we've got 3 schools instead of the 2.
Okay, all right. Sounds good. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Robinson, second by Councilman Rice, to approve the resource officers for Pitt County School. Any discussion? With none being said, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief.
All right, any other agenda items? Anybody have any other agenda items?
Did we get any information on the mural?
Yes, I'll be glad. I spoke with Ludi today, and she had got an email back from Dollar General that they're gonna just scrap painting
The current.
the current rendition of what the town is to now going to a bright mural with flowers and everything else, because they just didn't want to deal with that. So we move on, we digress, we move on.
I'm very disappointed. I look forward to that tribute to our town and its history being on that building. I think that they have missed an opportunity to do something very favorable in the community with that. I know it's a little controversy, but I'm quite sure we could have all worked it out together. They would give a little bit, and we give a little bit. Historical Society was willing to give some, so I'm really disappointed.
Well, at the end of the day, we will have a nice mural on the side of the building.
Councilwoman Robertson, we might could look for another space.
Right.
I would hope that we could do that because I do thank the Historical Society for their involvement and all the time and effort that they've put into it in trying to make a good design to reflect our community. And I've got some history lessons in the process too, so, but I hope we can.
Right.
I hope we can find somewhere else to put it.
And then also too, today I attended the opioid workshop today over at the Mark Owens Auditorium. Attorney General Josh Steins was there talking about the opioid. It's like $26 million that's coming into Pitt County area. Just had a host of people there. Senator Smith, of course, Sheriff Dance, Chief Sauls, all the county commissioners, most of them there. I shouldn't say all, most of them was there. I was the only one from a municipality that was there. But, you know, there's a lot of money out there, and, you know, there's a lot of good that can be done with it. I asked at the end, what could the town of Winterville do to be proactive in getting some of this money?
Yeah.
And the Attorney General said basically that you need to talk with the county to figure out what we want to do, how we could utilize it. And I was looking at it from the standpoint of our police department getting information so that we can be proactive to maybe disseminate or do something to keep this stuff out of our town, you know, and save some lives, you know. So maybe that's somewhere down the line, later discussion with, you know, with this board and the police department, you know, we can work on what we can present to the county to see, you know, how we can utilize some of the funds to better protect our community, and, you know, because basically that's what we're going to be doing, you know, trying to make sure that the people understand that this is dangerous. You know, I was listening to them talking about, you know, Narcan, you know, how many cans officers goes through, you know, and how many, you know, overdoses. They even asked me, Chief, that I know how many that we have in the town of Winterville, and I didn't know. I mean, you know, to be frank with you, you know, have quite a few. Well, I was saying none because I didn't know, so. But if we having quite a few is too many. So I think this is something that is kind of urgent that we kind of take. And also too, with you too, Chief Moore, and to be included, that
Yes.
we all, you know, try to figure out how we can work.
And I've
best.
reached out to Janice Gallagher, County Manager, and as they're formulating, you know, sort of what their process will be like, for what they were going to require, et cetera, she and I will work together to make sure that we're on it and know what they're requiring for us to try to submit something to receive part of that funding.
Okay.
So I would just like to say thank you for attending. Sorry I wasn't able to attend, but that is, you know, of course, unto my heart. And it needs to be a top of the North Star or in the middle of the North Star for Winterville to save lives, because, you know, there are folks that are overdosing in alarming numbers. And I think that, yes, bringing funds to the police department is important, but also programs for awareness and prevention and treatment in our town. Bringing, you know, more Narcan that's readily available for the citizens to be able to obtain it. So thank you so much.
And I don't know if everybody, I noticed that in the police department, you do have a a disposal for appeals, don't you?
Yes.
And I think our citizens need to be aware of that, because that's some of the things that people get appeals that people have that maybe don't use them or can't use them or whatever, that kind of a thing, that they can dispose of them right there in the police department.
I think
There's a disposal thing.
I agree. I think it's a good opportunity to remind the citizens that that's available. We did when we first got it, and I do think it's a good idea to just keep reminding folks that that is a source that people can take their unused medications and dispose of them properly.
Yes.
And also, too, the other thing is, I've been contacted by Richard Joyner, and he's working with East Carolina Health about community garden, and I spoke to Mr. Jones, and I'm going to be in contact with Mr. Jones, because Mr. Jones is taking care of the community garden over at Mount Shallow. So I want to be get in touch with you, and hopefully me and you and Mr. Joyner can meet and discuss that, so that we can help grow your garden even more. Okay? Yeah, it's a community garden, correct? Yes, sir. Mhm. So that's what your mayor's been doing.
Way to go, Mayor.
All right. I don't wear these pink shoes for nothing.
Absolutely. I do have one other quick agenda item, if I may. I put a copy of, Councilwoman Harrell didn't mind, but I put a copy at everyone's seat of the verbiage you sent regarding Rule 20 back in April.
Yes.
Just an update on Rule 20, I think we were asked to give one. We received responses from all council members, but in terms, there's no majority direction in one way of what to do with Rule 20. We're still very divided in terms of how you all feel about what should happen to Rule 20. So Keen and I wanted to just update you, give you the version that Councilwoman Harrell put together, just as a point of beginning, if you will. But we really do need everybody to kind of go back, maybe talk with each other, but to try to come up with a decision as to how we'll be proceeding with Rule 20. And for the members of the audience, this is the process for how to fill a vacant council seat when there's one available. We have some of you that want to reword it and then leave it in policies and procedures. We have some of you that would like to take it as is and make it an ordinance. We have some of you that would like to just do away with it altogether. There are lots of differing opinions, and Keen, please jump in if I'm getting anything incorrect. But I believe that both of us still need a majority direction on what to do with Rule 20. So as it stands right now, we don't have consensus direction. I think we need that to move forward. But just as a reminder of what we're trying to do, wanted to at least put forward what Councilwoman Harrell had sent.
Okay. Everybody see the copy that's at your desk?
Yes.
Have everybody read the copy at your desk by any chance? What would y'all like to do? You would like to table it? Would you like to look at this for a second and see if you would like to adopt this? Or what would be your pleasure?
My pleasure is I like to adopt the highest vote in the last election for the next candidate that did not make it into, on the board.
So that would be the current rule.
The current rule, that's the one I like to.
Is that for every vacancy? So if you have more than one?
The word last makes a difference. Last. That was the question. The policy now that says the election, it does not say the last election.
I'm going to defer to Mr. King down there.
You were the one that brought, I'm not being smart.
All right.
But you were the one that brought that difference up
Right.
to us.
But I'm
that
just-
it doesn't say which election. I remember you brought that
Right.
point up.
Well, let me remind everybody,
Okay.
a policy is just that.
That's right, a
So
policy.
y'all can decide on a policy, and I think that's wonderful, but it doesn't, Well, that does not mean that this board or a future board has to go by that. Even an ordinance, a future board can change
Change
that
it.
ordinance. Okay. So there's nothing that, aside from a change in the charter, which I do not recommend, I don't think Keene does either, anything can be subject to change. I think what really got things twisted, and when I mean twisted, I mean a little bit out of kilter, was when we had more than one appointment occur between elections. That
Right.
has not happened in a while, certainly since I've been here. So with Mr. Rice, we did revert to the next highest vote getter from the last election in terms of his appointment. But then when it came time and the mayor won the mayor's seat and his seat became vacant, that's when.
No, Mark,
I'm sorry.
Mark.
Yes, thank you.
Councilman Smith.
Yes, that's when there seemed to be some differing opinions on what to do with that particular vacancy. So I will just say that, just keep in mind, whatever policy you want, is that the policy for any and all vacancies regardless? And no matter when that vacancy occurs between elections. I didn't say that very eloquently, but hopefully it makes sense.
Well, I would like to see us add the last municipal election. You know, I know Mr. Moore said last, I like us to say last municipal election, because it does account for citizen participation and citizen choice.
And I guess if I could ask, you look at the handout at your seat, of course, the top portion is what the current rule is. Ms. Robinson, are you referring to in the first paragraph where it says, when a vacancy occurs on the board, the seat shall be filled by the candidate from, it says the previous election. Is that where you're saying insert last municipal election at that point?
Yeah, that makes sense
Right.
I was looking at
You looking at
Dr.
her.
Harrell's suggestion,
Right,
but
right.
that's the same thing. I think that was the point that was brought up, was it said, election, let me see, from the previous election with the next highest number of votes.
Maybe-
But I think that we need to specify
Previous municipal election.
previous
Yes, I like
municipal
that.
election.
Now, the question is, no matter how many votes that person got, I just want to make sure.
I'm hoping that we don't ever get down to that point. I know what you're saying.
And I'm not trying to
But I'm hoping that
muddy-
it never gets that
Right.
far down, because if it did, that person would only serve for a few months, and then it would be time for an election.
Yes.
I'm not trying to muddy the
Every 2 years,
waters.
we have an election, so. And the whole idea of the rules and procedures was to make it simple, and it seems
Correct.
like it has made it more complicated.
Because we don't always follow the rule of
Yes.
procedure.
I thought it would make it easy so that when something happened like this, you just, there it is, but.
And also, it shows the interest of the citizen of this town. You know, the concern and interest, they want to be part of a board or part of any board, and especially this board, if they decided they want to run for a seat, even though they might not get the numbers, but it shows that they have an interest. And if that situation does happen like it did in our this last series, I think this right here will be a good guideline that we can go by. And we'll be honest enough that it would take us out of the way. I'm talking about the board, because it was some things that were said that, you know, is that person is a perfect fit. They is a citizen of this town. You know, and those are, to me, those are the wrong statement that we should be making towards our citizens. You know, I'm just saying that that's the way I see it. So to take that out of the picture, I do believe that if we go by and say the vacancy occur on the board, the seat will be filled by the candidate from the last municipal election,
Next highest vote, yeah.
the next highest vote getter.
I'd like to make
And
a
I think that,
motion. I'd like to make a motion that we table this until the
I
next
second.
meeting.
Wait, there's a
Okay.
motion already on the floor.
Well,
I'm seconding.
wait a minute. It wasn't a motion.
I think
It was
Ms.
a-
Robinson made it. You
I
didn't make
think I did.
I think she was just discussing.
She was just, there was discussion.
Oh, okay.
Then we got a motion by
And I
Paul
second.
and a second by Dr. Harrell. Right. There was not a motion. She was just in discussion.
Okay, I thought
Right,
she
she,
had
no,
made the
she was in
motion on
discussion, no.
But
The-
I think I made a motion then, and then she said that she wanted to add to my motion,
I didn't hear
the
that.
word, Ms. Robinson.
I didn't hear in addition to.
But still, she didn't second it. She just, she was discussing it. There wasn't a second to it.
Don.
Don't recall if there was a motion.
Motion, right.
I didn't make that motion, you said.
I didn't have one either.
No, we've been discussing
Right.
so
There
long,
was
I can't
discussion.
remember.
Right. So we do have a motion now to table it. Motion made by Councilman Rice, second by Councilwoman Harrell. Any discussion now, again?
I don't, well, if we can come to an agreement, I don't have a problem
Okay.
with us voting on it tonight. If we can come to an agreement on it.
All right.
Like I said, I like the wording that you
But I-
had, that you add to that previous.
Last municipal election.
Yes, I like that.
And so what's before you says when a vacancy occurs on the board, the seat will be filled by the candidate with the highest votes if the vacancy is within the election year that the candidate received the votes. If the vacancy is outside of the election year, a notice of vacancy, advertisements, so on and so forth, will be given to the citizens, excuse me, for them to be able to apply for the vacancy. And so I do think that just sounds a little bit cleaner.
Right.
But however, I'm still willing to be in discussion, or either we table it.
Well, right now, we got the motion on the floor. There's no more discussions. Let's call for the vote. All in favor of tabling it, raise your right hand. All right, two. All opposed? All right, 2-2. I break the tie. I'm gonna vote for the table it. Okay? All right. And we'll move on.
If I could just make a gentle suggestion, that you all communicate with each other and maybe collectively come to that agreement. And then if someone would let Keen and I know what you all are doing and agree to, that'd be great.
And I'll add, it seems that we have moved the ball further down the field from this discussion tonight. We're sort of, I think we've agreed to one paragraph, maybe with the addition to some clarification language. It's the idea of the second paragraph that Dr. Harrell has proposed with the sort of limitation to 1 year. I think that's probably the only point of discussion, at least tonight.
Okay, all right. Okey dokey. Announcements.
Before we move to that, do you want to talk about the August meeting?
Yes, thank you, Don. I meant to say this during our agenda review meeting. The August meeting, originally scheduled for August 14th, needs to be changed like we did last year because of the Electricities Conference. So last year, we moved it back to the first meeting in August, and that's what we're suggesting, is that you all set the August meeting for August 7th, which is the first Monday, I believe, of the month, due to the Electricities Conference
At 6 p.m.
at 6 p.m., correct?
We need a motion or anything?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
I make the motion that we change our meeting in August to the first Monday night.
August
Due
the
to
7th.
conflict of the
Second.
electricities.
Got a motion and a second. Motion by Councilwoman Robinson, second by Councilwoman Harrell to move our August meeting from August the 14th to August the 7th at 6 p.m. Any discussion? Mr. Moore, you have something?
No. I'm
Okay,
good.
all right. If no discussion, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
I do apologize for neglecting to mention that Thursday.
Okay. Well, that's why we got Don. Thank you,
Yes,
Don.
Don, thank you, Don.
All right. Don, you're on deck.
Well, as I look at the announcements, it looks like more things are canceled and changed than not, but we're going to hit them. Planning and Zoning Board meeting will be tomorrow night. They have switched their date, and that is due to Juneteenth, which is, the town offices will be closed that day, and that would have been their typical day of meeting. Board of Adjustment meeting has been canceled because they don't have any business to undertake this month. Human Relations, I suppose we probably are going to have to cancel that because we won't have a quorum yet, but we'll soon be getting that going full-fledged again with that, with your all's reaction, or nominations. Recreation Advisory Board is Tuesday, June the 27th. Then the Independence Day holiday is Tuesday, July the 4th. And then your agenda review meeting on July 6th is canceled because we won't have a meeting. And then the July 10th meeting is canceled, as always, your regular meeting. Things will kick back up in August.
I do need to make a notation to council that since we're moving our meeting to the 7th of August, that would make the agenda review meeting the 3rd at 4, August 3rd at 4. And we'll send out a note to everybody.
Yeah, I'll be notifying all those
August
date changes that reflect
third.
that.
Okay, August 3rd.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know what month I'm in.
Okay. All right. All right. Tonight we have a closed session. And so if King would kindly read.
Yes, Mayor, we've got a closed session tonight pursuant to, actually two statutes, A5 and A3. And A5 deals with the council giving instruction to the staff about purchasing of real property, and A3 deals with attorney-client privilege information.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I got one question I
Yes,
want to ask
yes, sir.
the chief about the,
Which chief?
Oh,
Also, Chief Will Hyde.
yes. My question is, Chief, is on, I think back in 10/10/22, Tony Green, that lives at 2856 Lower Mellon Drive, asked for some speed bumps. Are you familiar with that situation?
He is, and where you gave me that, a public comment sheet from a previous meeting, and staff's currently looking into that.
Yes, are we going to place speed bumps there?
We'll be back to council to make a recommendation.
You will?
Yes.
Okay, because the reason why I asked this is because this request was made back in October of 2022, and the citizens have been waiting and waiting and waiting for an answer.
We will make sure that we're back in August with a recommendation.
Chief, thank you.
Chief won't be here, but we'll be making a recommendation.
Well,
It's a good thing I can't decide on the speed bumps, by the way.
Oh, really?
I don't decide
against
that.
them.
You don't
Well,
decide, that's right.
well, Chief, while you up there, this is your official last meeting.
Yes.
Correct.
And I reckon, for me, it's been a pleasure working with you.
You as well, all of you as well.
And we wish you a lot of success in your next endeavor. And we appreciate what you've done for the town.
Thank you.
You stole my thunder.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Not going anywhere.
Yeah, I won't have anybody call when the dogs get around.
You will, you'll have the next person.
Yeah, yeah.
And Ms.
I appreciate
Robertson?
your work.
Chief said you can still call him, too.
I won't be able to email it. You know, I won a prize last year at the Electric City Conference with your Do the Right Thing T-shirt. I don't know if you remember, you knew it or not, but it actually, you know, I got one of those gift certificates with it.
So we will get that.
Yes, we will have a recommendation in August.
And before we go in closed session, one last thing to ask Terry. Terry, how is things going as far as the vacancies?
Yes, making good progress.
Okay, all right,
I'll be making some announcements in the next day or so.
okay,
So good stuff.
good stuff.
Good
All right,
stuff happening.
That's what I want to hear.
That's not to mean that we don't have additional vacancies occurring, but that's just part of life.
All right, okay. All right, with that being said, I need a motion,
To come out of open
open
session.
session.
And we'll do vote to go closed session.
Okay, all right. Can I
So
get-
move.
Okay.
I second.
I got a motion to go out of open session made by Councilwoman Robinson, second by Mayor Pro Tem Moy. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We're going into closed session. Stay tuned, we'll be back.